right, afternoon. We'll start with last week. I want to start with, and I think this is important, and our players felt the same way. We really appreciated the support that we got on the road. I mean, if we got into the stadium and our entire side was LSU Tigers, and that's appreciated. Like when you go into a visiting team. Their field and you're well represented like that. Now, I wish we could have sent them home happy with a victory, certainly. But those little things mean a lot, and especially as our team is battling. Certainly disappointed in the way things went in the loss on Saturday. There's a lot of things you can point out in the game. But it really boils down to kind of what I talked about after the game. It really hasn't changed much after I've watched the film. We had 49 offensive plays, and we needed to be better in scoring zones. We settled for field goals. They got touchdowns. And that ultimately was the difference, other than the fact that, defensively, we needed to get off the field in certain situations. And that's why the plays were, 49 to 67, 68. You almost had a 20-play differential between the two. But if you really want to take the big picture, I was pleased with a lot of things, but it's the outcomes. Our fan base wants positive outcomes, and I get that. There's nothing that brings a community together better than an LSU victory. And so we clearly understand that. I understand that. Our players, I'm proud of their resolve. I'm proud of going on the road against whether we like it or not, Indiana's number 2 in the country. Whether we like it or not, Vanderbilt's number 10 in the country. These are teams that have earned their rankings, and they're good football teams. They played exceedingly well. I give credit to Vanderbilt. They took care of the football. They have an outstanding quarterback who, on 3 occasions where we hit the call right on some nakeds, he made things happen. And so you got to give credit where credit's due in this situation as well. We're disappointed with the loss, don't get me wrong, and we want to do better for our fan base. We get that. But having said that, there were a lot of things that we can take away from the game that we need to build on. And that's where we are right now, is that we have a great opportunity this weekend in Tiger Stadium, to play the number 3 team in the country. That's exciting. And we believe the way we're moving, if we continue to get better on both sides of the ball, we're prepared to win the game. We believe we can win the game. So, I hope our fan base understands that we're disappointed. We are committed to working to getting better every single day, and we're excited about a great matchup this weekend in Tiger Stadium. Certainly, A&M, outstanding football team. When you look at them, they're defensively, they've got some outstanding players. The linebacker York is outstanding. I loved him last year, 21. He's all over the field, instinctive. Howell leads the SEC in sacks. He's somebody that you have to know where he is all the time and appropriately plan for him. Offensively, Marcel Reed is doing an incredible job at the quarterback position, taking that over. They've got outstanding backs in Owens and Moss, and very deep and talented with Craver and Concepcion. Outstanding receivers that can do a lot of things with the ball as well. So, very talented team. I think it would be one of the better offensive lines, if not the best offensive line we're going to see this year. But I think overall, our team is excited about this opportunity, and we're going to play well, and we're going to need to beat the number 3 team in the country. So with that, we'll open up to questions.
Coach, you talked about just the lack of execution in those goal line situations. Do you feel like after going back and watching the film, this is an execution thing, or is it more of a mentality/attitude when you get inside the 5-yard line?
Well, which one do you want me to bring up? I can bring up the one where we have a false start penalty, or we have a wide open touchdown. We've seen that happen so many times in this game. Unfortunately, it was a timely error in that situation, that caused us, or cost us, 4 points in that situation, right? I think in each one of them was a little bit different. I think if we had to impact, another third down situation where it was all-out blitz, that, we could have certainly tapped down the routes and gotten the ball out a little bit quicker. But there's no major issues as much as at that time, at that crucial time with 49 plays, they're magnified if there's any errors at all. And that's what this game came down to. And I mentioned it many times. It's like playing a triple option team. You don't get many possessions. We had 5 possessions going into the fourth quarter. And so when you have limited possessions, those errors are magnified by 10.
Coach, I've heard some former players and others say there's a lack of physicality on this football team, in particular on the offensive side of the ball. Are you seeing that?
Well, I think we need to be more physical. I think there's always the need for physicality, right? How you play this game really is about who you are. Football is a game of violent collisions, and certainly from an offensive line standpoint, everybody's going to look towards the physicality there on the offensive line. Those are the best 5 guys we got out there. If we had, another group, we'd certainly play them as well. So, everybody, is going to look at this and has their opinions, and I respect everybody's opinion. But there's no doubt that anytime you evaluate your football team, the first thing you're going to look for is physicality.
Coach, you mentioned Indiana being number 2, Vanderbilt maybe being number 10. Does that really go to show how much NIL in the portal really opens up opportunities for schools that usually aren't in those positions to get into those positions?
Well, Texas Tech, right? I mean, they had a tough loss, but they were a top 10 team as well. Look, I don't think that I'm saying anything that's different than what's being talked about throughout the country. Look, it's a competitive scenario each and every week. Look at the SEC last week. Were there any blowouts? I mean, I don't know that there were. I mean, Texas and Kentucky went to overtime. Arkansas put up over 40 points. Georgia, Ole Miss was a track meet. Auburn, I think, goes to overtime as well. I mean, it's a tough league. It's competitive each and every week. There's no layups. And so why is that? Well, there's an investment, and that investment piece is revenue sharing. And so you can build your roster through that. It's not just about, I want to go where the team always wins, or that's got a great tradition. Teams that are building their tradition are building it with, certainly the ability to help their student athletes as well. So that's part of it. But, still player development's important. Getting better each and every week and having the best version of your football team is important as well. I wouldn't stand up here and say, hey, all these teams are good because they got money. That's disingenuous, right? But it does play into it. There's no doubt about it. And I think we see that within the SEC.
Coach, from a self-evaluation standpoint, what do you think the one thing or the first thing is that needs to be addressed or fixed to kind of get this thing turned around and win on Saturday and also moving forward?
Well, I think we've been doing it. I mean, look, we want positive outcomes just like our fan base wants, right? But our last 9 quarters of offense have been trending to where we need to be, right? We're running the football with effectiveness. We're targeting the receivers that need to. We got to get Aaron Anderson probably involved a little bit more now that he's healthy. He's a big play guy. And then defensively, we need to continue to play like we have played in the first half. And if we do that, we get both sides of the ball playing complementary football. I think I've said it more than once, that we haven't played that complementary football where both sides are hitting on all cylinders. We just haven't hit that point yet. So we'll continue to prepare our football team, work on the things that can help us get to that level. and it's an ongoing process that, when every day is a self-evaluation of what I'm doing, what our players are doing, what our coaches are doing, and we're taking all those hours to make sure we do that.
Can you confirm multiple reports that Tyree Adams will be out for this week? And if so, what do you do at left tackle?
Yeah, he'll be out this week. DJ Chester will be over there. He's our most experienced guy. We'll give Karius Kern some reps out there as well and see how that goes during the week.
Coach, I know y'all track everything. When y'all come out of timeout, do you know what your success rate is on that next play?
No, we don't track that.
Okay.
If you have it, I'll take the numbers.
It seems like it's not very good, but I don't know if that's so.
Okay. I don't have that analytic, and it's something that I'm sure that if I ask our guys to dig deep, I can get you the answer.
Coach, right here.
Yeah.
While we're on the injuries, Whit Weeks, Bernard Gooden, Jamari Butler, how are they doing, and what do you think their status is?
I think when we present our report, I think you'll get a clearer look at that, and I think that goes out tomorrow, Wednesday. So we'll get a better report on that on Wednesday.
And we noticed we haven't seen Ashton Stamps or Jordan Gilbert on the field in quite a while. Is there anything going on with either of them?
Well, we're trying to protect them, both of them. They both have played in 3 games. So if we can, in fact, protect their year, we would try to. This would be a week where they could play their 4th game and still, maintain eligibility.
Brian, you've talked about the fewer plays that you have. There's obviously a thin margin for error with this team on
Sure.
offense. How much, I guess, then does it become important for you to really strip down what you're doing, who's calling it, the installation of those plays from the top down? Is that something that would benefit a team like this?
Yeah, we started doing that about 3 weeks ago. I think right after the Ole Miss game, I talked to Coach Sloan and said, and Coach Hankton, look, we need to shorten this inventory and be better at the things that have been highly efficient for us. So I think we went into that process about 3 weeks ago through the bye week, and I think it's proved to be effective for us. So, I would agree with you, and I think we've shown that, offensively, that's where we're heading.
There hasn't been a 2-loss SEC champion since, I think, LSU in 2007. Did your conversation about goals for your team change now that you've got your 2nd conference loss?
No. What we've talked about is the excitement of this opportunity that we have this week to go 1-0, and that 1-0 is against the number 3 ranked team in the country. So, look, this is about the history and tradition of LSU football. You get these matchups at home; they're exciting, and we're looking forward to just the focus on playing our best when our best is needed against a great opponent in A&M in Tiger Stadium.
Coach Harlenberry had a good game, kind of
Yeah.
season high in carries and yards, everything like that. What have you seen from him from a development standpoint throughout his freshman year?
Yeah, I think he's coming along the way we'd expect a true freshman to come along. I think he's earned more and more trust as the season has gone on. He's had more carries, has been involved in pass situations, pass protections, done a nice job there. So I think he's right on track in terms of where he's going and influencing, the football game as he did this past Saturday.
We saw Karius at left tackles, and some in the spring, a little bit early in the fall. What do you need to see from him to kind of make that big push with DJ? And then just Solomon Thomas, what's maybe an update on how he's doing from his injury?
Solomon's a little bit behind. I mean, conditioning wise, being involved in things, he's just ramping up really from a long layoff. But as it relates to Karius, we're in a situation now where, we've got a matchup this weekend against a veteran team and, a great pass rusher, certainly. And Karius is coming on. But to throw a true freshman in there, I don't want to put him in that situation. I can see him playing, but I'd prefer to play a guy that's had a lot of experience at that position. And knowing that whoever's at that position with number 9, you've got to help. You got to get somebody that chips. You got to put a tight end over there, elongate the pocket. You've got to do a lot of things in the pass game to help whoever's playing over there.
Coach, Garrett Nussmeier obviously loves LSU. He wants to do well. Seemed like he was very
Everybody
Yeah.
that's here wants to do well and loves LSU.
He seemed like he was very upset at the end of the game in the post-game interviews and so forth. What can you do as a head coach talking to him to kind of obviously winning and throwing touchdowns, but get some of his joy back and playing the game?
Well, look, they put so much time and effort, and look, I recognize everybody's angst. I mean, my meal doesn't taste good. I'm not in a great mood. I mean, I'm not happy. I think he's part of the entire group, Jacques, that nobody's happy with the prep. We've put so much preparation time and to not to come through in those situations. The guys are angry and they're frustrated. And so we've got to be able to turn that into allowing them to go and play this game fast and free and physical, and do that when it matters most. And I think we've already kind of touched upon a number of different times where the first question was, red zone efficiency, if we're a little bit better there. We had 3 situations where we were blitzing into a naked boot and we didn't come up with the sack. I mean, we got to be better there. So it's these little things that we've got to be better at so everybody feels a little bit better at the end of the day.
Billy Napier was fired on Sunday. I think it's 11 coaches now. Maybe do you have a thought on Billy being fired and what seems to be a growing trend in college football of letting coaches go earlier?
I've been 35 years in this business, 35, and it's ever changing. The stakes are high. The passion is great. I don't know that it surprises me, but look, it's the nature of the business that we're in. It's like I said earlier, it brings communities together. It brings states together. It brings so much hope, right? And so when there's that much at stake, things like that do occur. But I got to be honest with you, I can't take time to think about those things. I have to think about not making mistakes in the red zone and making sure that we do a good job staying on the upfield shoulder of the quarterback when we blitz off the edge into a naked boot. I got to think about those things and helping our coaches keep coaching and teaching that. And so I'm not trying to play off your question, but the reality of it is that if I take a global view on all these things all day, I wouldn't get my job done. And some are saying that I'm not getting it done now. I get that, right? And I get the criticism that comes with that. But we are working hard every single day to get our football team better. Yeah, every institution has their own reasons. I don't know, certainly what the reasons were. I like him as a colleague. I think he's professional. I think he's smart. But each institution has their own reasons for why they make those decisions, and I'm not privy to them.
Brian, I know you and Austin are on all the comms. Is there any advantage to getting you involved in game day play calling, or does that muddy the waters and the real work is done Sunday through Friday?
Yeah, it's a fair question. And for me, I can tell you that my involvement is much more in the game plan preparation. Play calling is an art and a science. It's both, right? And if you start getting involved in that too much, it does, in my opinion, over my career, it's not the best thing. Now I can veto things, and I do have suggestions, and I think that those are things that I'll continue to have. Believe me, I'm on both sides of the ball in special teams. I'm hearing it, listening to it. I have veto power, and I think from my perspective, that's the best place for me.
I don't want to put words into your mouth, but earlier in the season you did mention with DJ Chester moving at different positions, maybe it was a little bit unfair to his development, having to learn so many different things. You mentioning earlier he's going to be at left tackle. Is that more of just a, like you mentioned, experience? Is there options elsewhere? I mean, I guess just in terms of left tackle with DJ Chester, is that just you feel like the best fit for him right now?
Well, that's the best fit for us as 5, for the 5 guys that we're going to put out there. That's our best situation. Moving Josh over there is not going to do it for us. DJ's played a full game there at tackle already this year. As you know, he played the entire Florida game. Based upon that, and he virtually played the entire game against Vanderbilt, other than the first 12 plays. He had one stumble where his foot got caught in the ground on the turf, and we had a sack that was given up. But by and large, he did what was expected of him. And I have confidence that he can go out there and do the job. Like I said, they've got an outstanding pass rusher over there. 9 or 50 is pretty good too. We'll have to help. We'll have to do some things to get the ball out quickly. But I feel like if we do that, we've got a guy that's played a lot of football.
You mentioned those naked boots a couple of times facing Marcel Reed this week. I'm just curious, what could you have done in that situation with the corner coverage that you have and it being, really good this year? I guess, are safeties more involved in that situation, or is it simply that guy's got to get home?
Well, there were two different situations. Twice we blitzed the corner, and the corner came too shallow underneath. We made the correction. We blitzed him again. He did a nice job of staying on the upfield shoulder. The other time we blitzed an outside backer, and they were too shallow. So, each one of them, it's not one player. Like if it was one player, we'd put him on the bench. We just need to be more consistent across the board, and not just on offense, but defense as well.
I guess I have another defensive question for you too. Without Witt and Bernard on the field this past weekend, do you feel like the unit as a whole missed a little bit of that speed, instinct, and just energy that they bring, game to game? And if they can't go this weekend, how do you, within the next 5 days, how do you sort of get some of that back?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think we felt like maybe we lost a little bit of that energy that had been apparent with our group. So you can imagine that's the first thing that I addressed on Sunday. How if they don't play, where is it coming from? We had a couple of guys come and speak to the team right after the game from the defensive side of the ball, speaking on that in particular. So they're aware of it. We know that we have to have that kind of energy on defense to play the kind of defense we need to play. All right, thank you.